All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode of the London is Blue podcast. As always, your host, joined by Nick and Dan. Gentlemen, this is a new one that we're doing, inaugural kind of monthly recap that we're going to start doing this season. Obviously, this one being unique with a transfer window in it. But otherwise, we'll be doing grades and awards for the month of September. Very, very similar to said Dundee Awards for you Dunder Mifflin heads out there. For those of you enjoying the U.S. version of The Office, these are very serious. They are taken serious, and cash rewards will be given out if we ever get around to it. So, gentlemen, Dan, I'll pass to you. Maybe you can set the stage a little bit more detailed. But just this is for September, the month that has just passed. No more predictions.
No, well, and the other thing is I want to just walk back Brandon taking us into the territory of U.S. versus U.K. office. We don't want to go there. We don't want to be in that debate.
I'm not afraid.
We don't want to. No, we're not going to enter into that territory. What we are going to do is we are going to go through, and in addition to going over the month, which means we're going to go through some three-word match reviews of September or of the entire month. We're going to go through some performances, so talking about best player of the month, the LIBP best player of the month, and the best goal of the month, and maybe some other conversational topics too about the month that has just passed. But also because this is just after the transfer window has shuttered, the reverberations fresh off of the door, Nick. We're going to go in and talk a little transfer too. But before that, I know there's a PSA that you want to throw in here to the lovely, wonderful people.
Yeah, if you stayed around for the last 5 seconds of our last 5 podcasts, probably, we've had one word to say, and that is vote. We are closing in on election day now. That is a little less than a month away. It's incredibly important that you register to vote and that you vote. You exercise your civic duty. We're not telling you who to vote for. That's not our job, but just calling it out that voter registration is going to shut in some states soon. So if you have not registered, or if you moved and whatever, go look at your voter registration, make sure that you're within the deadline. If you have registered, go check your registration, make sure that something didn't happen to it, because that can obviously happen. And then last piece of advice, just call your mom, call your parents, call your sister, brother, whatever. Just tell them that you love them. It's been a hard week, and that's okay. So just a little PSA. It's a little bit of a downer before we get into the monthly stuff, but yeah, it's super important.
All right, so kicking it off with the transfer window, we can assess some grades to how we think Chelsea did as a club, and then we can obviously break down some of the individual transfers as well. So just like as you stand in front of the boards at the airport, the arrivals coming in first and then said departures. So we had Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Ben Chilwell, Hakim Ziyech, Edouard Mendy, Malang Sarr, and Thiago Silva. So those are the players that came in. Look, guys, who was your favorite arrival? And remember, this is completely objective, right? I'm just kidding. It's completely subjective. They're just our opinions. So before you want to yell at us, like, just share your opinion on who is your favorite player, or at least signing on paper, and why. So Nick, I'll kick it back over to you, and you can lead us off with this.
Yeah, I mean, look, a ton of really awesome players came in. This has been an incredible window. We'll get into our ratings here in a second. But I think the one that, just based off of current play, that I am most excited about is Hakim Ziyech, which I know is a weird one. I would guess that 90 to 95% would reside in the Werner or Havertz area, maybe some Chilwell leftovers. But I think the notability that he's going to have on the left or on the right-hand side with his left foot is he's just going to provide a whole different deal for us out there. He's going to provide width. He'll provide excellent service, and we just barely got to see it before he got hurt. But my guess is that when he's back, he's going to provide a lot of balance to this team, and it's something that I am very, very, very much looking forward to.
I mean, the irony is he'll probably create a lot of imbalance, which will be a pain for the opposition. Hard hard to not get excited about Akim Ziyech. But Dan, you are deciding to twist on this one. No sticking for Dan Dormer.
No, I think if I were using recency bias, which also would go into the month of October, which we're not grading yet, I would say I probably could have been convinced Ben Chilwell, looking way sharper in our setup than I thought he might. And that's the value of a Premier League proven player, which is why people are always like, why won't you go spend 30 million pounds, 40 million pounds more to get a Premier League proven player? That's sometimes the reason why. Enter Ben Chilwell's performance against Crystal Palace. I think overall, though, the one that I never thought it was in the realm of conversation that this person could be a Chelsea player. I think it was in my mind they were going to be playing at Real Madrid in a season's time or playing at Bayern Munich and being part of just a dominant force for 5 to 7 years at minimum was Kai Havertz. And I think that's the one that has me still the most excited for what's to come. Look, not many people can say they've scored a hat trick against Barnsley. He's done it already. I mean, that's all the proof you needed, Brandon, to know that this guy's going to be a star.
Oh, poor Barnsley. Tough day out for them. I at first I thought you were talking about Luka Jovic. All right, but then I forgot we didn't sign him. So on to Kai Havertz. Classic Dan not playing by the rules. What? Any other names you want to add in there? Some honorable mentions that you didn't get to?
Yeah, just name the other 4. Dan, go for it.
Joe, short list.
I will say, very excited to watch Sarr play for Porto this season.
Since you gave me the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Thiago Silva came in as a free. That's really exciting. Enticed by the project. I mean, let's not forget about your favorite position, Brandon Mendy. Woof, he's probably the one you picked, right?
You think so? But I didn't, because to me, when I was thinking about favorite signing, I think you guys have heard me rant a lot about Timo Werner, and when you have a firing goal scorer, it just takes the weight off of the rest of the team, and he's going to open up confidence for Mason, for Kai, for the wing backs or the outside backs to get in and get assists. To me, just having a great striker like we saw Diego Costa and Didier Drogba, the rest of the team can just click because you don't have to worry about that, and it's the hardest part to be good at in this game. So I'm on the Timo train, right? I am upset that he's getting shifted off to the left and having to play defense. So it would be inconsistent of me to not choose Timo as my favorite signing.
Freaking Dan's wearing his shirt and didn't pick him. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, well, we know what, Dan's just a fanboy. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm just kidding. Anyways, hit us up. Let us know who your signing was. Look, it's hard. I mean, I can understand Malang Sarr because he's on loan. He's not even with the team, right? I can probably understand Mendy because goalkeepers aren't sexy. But a 36-year-old center back from Brazil, now maybe that is your flavor of choice. The players that were sold or the free transfers out, right? Alvaro Morata officially off the books.
We did it.
Somehow sold to Atletico and then immediately sold to Juventus. Been a busy summer for Alvaro and the Twins. Mario Pasalic went to Atalanta officially. Kind of saw that one coming. Nathan has left. Willian obviously went to Arsenal. Pedro went to Roma. And so, look, thinning of the squad a little bit. But then you get to the loan army, and that list is not as long as it's been in years past, but it's still there. Danilo Pantic, Lewis Baker, Davide Zappacosta, Marco Van Hinkel, Malang Sarr, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, sad but hopefully good, Matt Miazga, Ross Barkley, Mishi Batshuayi, Kennedy, Ethan Ampadu, Jamal Blackman, Jamie Cumming are the ones that we have listed out to discuss. Interesting mix there. I think this is probably the most Premier League loans that we've seen out of our loan army before, and that's with the new kind of limitations. So, Dan, back to you real quick. Ruben to Fulham. All right. I hated that stupid video they did. They kept making him grab the badge, grab the shirt. And I'm like, he doesn't care, right? Like, he's Stamford Bridge, Cobham through and through. You guys are just making it uncomfortable at this point. Poor guy.
It's uncomfortable for all of us, but I think as we talked about in the preseason episodes we were doing, we had our wonderful regular series of Keep Sell Loan with Joe Tweeds. I think the landing is that at this point, at his age and at his developmental state, Ruben needs to go play football, and he should be playing it at the Premier League level. And this Fulham side, unfortunately, are god-awful. They are a terrible football team, and they will get relegated, which hopefully means that Ruben Loftus-Cheek will get to play a lot of minutes in this side, score a couple goals, will potentially be a part of a team that unfortunately doesn't do a whole lot on paper, Nick, but it gets him back to where he could come back into this Chelsea side next season and fight for a first team spot.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see where he plays. My hope is that he gets a lot of time as what I think his best position is, and that's an 8. Like he automatically, and this is I'm not trying to just trample all over poor Fulham, because we went to a match at Fulham and thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. It was a great time, great atmosphere. They are quite bad, and he is quite good when he's on his shit. So my guess is that when he really starts to pick up steam, Brandon, like he could easily be one of their top 3 or 4 players, if not maybe their best player. And it may not be that close by the end of the year, which is the hope. The hope is that he's humming like he was when he came back from Palace, and that he's just ready to go. And God, that's a weapon that we could desperately use next season.
Yeah, I was just going through the midfield list. I mean, not a lot there.
Cupboard's pretty bare.
Yeah. But Nick, I mean, you could probably pick a random name out of the hat and they'll probably hit a hat trick against us. So I'm not going to ask you to do that. That superpower of yours has been used enough. Again, all we want is minutes for him. That's it. We really don't care about anything else. He's going there for minutes. He should get said minutes. He should stay healthy, and he should come back and be ready for the first team next season. Let's just put a bow in it, wrap it up, and move on to Ross. Now, someone who look, the reason Ross went to Villa, okay? If you're familiar with football manufacturers and apparel brands, Kappa. There's no brand more personally identifiable to Ross Barkley than Kappa. Tight shorts, tight jersey. You got the guy girl logo. I mean, it's Ross personified. Those shorts fit him better than any other brand, and that is probably the only reason he went to ask.
This has gotten weird.
We've become a fashion
This has gotten
podcast.
weird.
Yeah,
Look, again, if you're familiar with kit manufacturers, you'll get it. All right, I know what Kappa's like. You remember Italia back in the early 2000s? They had the tight fitting shirts. This is what Ross lives for, because dude is jacked. All right, that had to have been an influence in his decision. Dan, you can probably talk about something stupid like stats or an eye test or whatever. Ross the boss is at Villa and had a hell of a first day out against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Dude loves the game against Liverpool.
Could have scored 3 goals, Ross Barkley, against, just loves scoring against Liverpool, which we all know and love and appreciate. And I'm glad we sent him someplace where he could help nick 3 points off of them, which is going to only help in our eventual putting our hands on the trophy at the end of the season. So thank you, Ross, for helping us out there. Look, I think this makes perfect sense. They've got a really poor or kind of light midfield, as it were. He gets to go right in. We get a great loan fee, as Matt Laws indicated. It potentially puts us in a position where we've somehow made money back on the Ross Barkley deal, even though we haven't sold him yet. So all this is great. This is all great for us. It's great for Ross, who's going to go out and get to play. I think it actually is the one I thought we would keep one of the 8s, whether that was Ruben or Ross. And I actually thought Ross would be the one that we would keep because he can do this in games. And as infuriating as it can be, Nick, when he doesn't hit the target or he gives away the ball, he also is really good at being a scoring midfielder. And that's not something, if you look at, our current crop has been upgraded, but you also look at like a Kovacic, a Conte, a Jorginho off of penalties. And, we don't have a ton of goal scoring midfielders in that group outside of, I would say, Mason and now Havertz.
I mean, I think this Villa loan for him could be damn near perfect. He's going to be relied on there. He's going to have to score if they're going to stay up. I picked them to go down again this year, and I think as it stands right now, that may look a little foolish because I think they have done some pretty good loan deals and they've strengthened their side quite a bit from where they were last year. If Ross plays well, he'll start every week. There's no doubt about it. And so it's the perfect probably loan option to buy scenario that Chelsea could have hoped for. And, if he scores 10 goals in the Premier League this year, even more, that fee is going to be crazy next year for what Villa probably want to pay. But again, Premier League goal scorers are such a rare commodity. You have to take them, and I think Villa will if he does a job there.
Yeah, we talked about Ruben. It's all about the minutes. For Ross, it's all about the valuation. And it's nothing against Ross. I just look at our team right now. Like, his future does not lie with Chelsea, and that's okay. He had a great run under Mauricio Sarri, kind of. He had some good moments against under Frank. So it's just, no hard feelings. But all we want is Ross to have an amazing season so he can get a great move to somewhere that he's happy, and Chelsea can get some money in return. Transfer market has him at 21.5 right now, euros. Like, that more than covers what we even paid for him. And we're getting $5 million in a loan fee. So it's net profit right now. Go have yourself a blast, Ross. That's all we can hope for.
There's also something to be said for just being the man at a place. He's not going to be the man at Chelsea. There's too many other the men, right? Like, plenty of other talent. But at Villa, alongside Grealish, he could really be the man and take a lot of pressure off of Grealish and, get up to some sort of shenanigans. I'm sure that will happen at some point. But, like, I don't know. I think it's a great move for him, and I'm happy for him, and I hope he does incredibly well this season and go.
Yeah. Again, just have fun. Go have yourself a blast, Ross. All right. So that's the arrivals and departures. So now if we're going to grade this window in whole out of 10, Dan, you have handpicked some of your favorite responses from the socials and from the Discord. What do you have for us, sir?
Millhouse dropping an 8.5 out of 10. Saying should have sent more players out earlier to help our chances of getting Rice, but in Marino we trust. Our boy Big Nash, a 0 out of 10. Scale 8, since we not take care of outgoings properly. Giving a low score means there's still room for improvement during the next window. Already looking ahead to January and beyond.
Greedy Nash.
A Drew Dub 23 on Twitter with a 9.1. It's very technical. Feels like a figure skating scoring system.
Holding up the sign.
Yeah, and then Max 65.75.8 with a 10. I mean, if you told us we would get all these players before the window started, you wouldn't even believe it, which I think is pretty fair. I don't think any of us would have believed that this was going to be the collection of players that we ended up signing this season.
And if you told me that the players that are still here would still be here, I would also not believe you. And I think that's one thing we probably didn't talk about is if you look at the squad on paper, very imbalanced. Dan kind of talked about our attacking midfielders maybe being light. Who knows? Maybe we can turn one of our 3 senior left backs into a winger or an attacker, because poor Ian Matson, he's the real loser of this transfer window.
Oh my God.
Genuinely feel bad, right? Knocking on the door some Carabao Cup minutes last season to fourth string left back. So bummer. But I'm going to say that, look, I would rather have some experienced players as surplus than quite the opposite. So I'm giving it a 10. I think it's hard to complain with the amount of investment that we've seen. I think that the investment has been smart. All the areas that we had talked about last season have been invested in, except maybe the wide attackers. But again, Hakim Ziyech comes back. All of a sudden that changes. Pulisic is back from injury. That changes. So to me, Look, you guys don't even have to have Kepa between the sticks right now. Like, who's really complaining at this point? So I'm going big. I'm going with the 10. Nick, I don't know why you gave it a 6, but I'm excited to hear why.
Well, I thought that we'd finish fourth, and no, I'm kidding. I think it's a 9. It's not quite a 10. I really wanted a CDM. I think that's the one area, kind of like Millhouse set up top. I think it's the one area that I would have liked to see someone come in. It didn't have to be Rice. It could have been someone else, but I know that Rice is the name. So I think he would have made this team more solid. I think there's still maybe some weakness in central midfield that we have to address or figure out a system that works around some of that. But, in Jorginho we trust. So moving forward, really excited about that. And I also, I think the 9 is also an acknowledgement that it was a really, really tough market to loan and sell players. It's not just that we, all of our players that we wanted to loan or sell were terrible and that there weren't any takers. It was largely, you heard a lot of feedback on just some of the crazy fees that, or lowballing offers that were happening. And so I think Chelsea have some work to do there, but it's a product of buying poorly for a number of years that you have to offload this much talent. And Dan, I think the key is if you look at all of the acquisitions that we made, except for Thiago Silva, who's on a free and who's just experience personified, right? All young, all on large deals. Mailing Sarr is a free transfer who's 21 years old, who's could come back someday and play for us. It's a left-footed defense center back, I should say. This is a really, really smart window.
Mendy's 28, but really he's like 24 because he's only been a pro for a handful of years.
Sure,
in all honesty,
good. Yeah, fair enough. Fair point.
Yeah, I think it was a super smart window. I think Chelsea moved quickly on the targets that they wanted to go after. I think it's the first window in a long time where we went after players and did not deviate from what our top choice was. We wanted to go get Werner as a top striker. We went and got Werner, and that was easier because there was a release clause. We decided we wanted a attacking midfielder. We went and we got Kai Havertz, and we took 5 years and a day to complete the transfer. But boy, oh boy, at 5 years and a day, we completed it. We did it at a fee that we felt comfortable with and got him across the line. We went in, we negotiated hard for Ben Chilwell and took advantage of the market situation as it were, and got the left back we wanted. And so, all of the times where we've gone into a window and come out after deadline day, like the goal is not to sign players on deadline day. The goal is to sign players that you want, to identify the target, sign them at the right price, and bring them in as soon as possible so you can start embedding them with the side, get them up to speed, and let them go. Not to go be like, cool, last hour of the day, Sky News is reporting that your guy's coming in to the side. That is bad business, Brandon. That's not what we want.
Yeah, a little bit of a boring deadline day, I guess you could say, but nice to have for once for Chelsea. Been a while since we've done that. We are all just waiting to see who's going out. And I should say, a lot of other European markets are still open. So we could very well see some more people leave the squad. It is just that the Premier League window's closed. Did I read that like even someone could go to like the EFL, like the championship or something like that?
The championship is open till the 15th. So there is extra time to transfer in and out. So we could actually go, like if we wanted to, not that we need to, we could go sign someone from the championship. We also could loan someone into the championship too.
All right. So again, we're done, but the rest of the world is not. So
Emerson's going to play for Coventry, baby. Let's go. All right.
Whatever works. All right. Well, that is going to stop us on the transfer market stuff. We're gonna
wait. I didn't give my rating out. I answered next question, but I didn't give a number.
It was just so long-winded.
It was an 8. I think we needed to get more out.
An 8?
But it was an 8.
After all of that,
oh my god,
dude comes back with it was all right. Yeah. All right, Dan. Well,
I average it out. I gave a really high score. I gave above a 10 for the amount that we brought in, and I gave a lower score for outgoing, and I averaged it together, and I got an 8.
Completely subjective. At Dan Dormer on socials, if you just want to go ahead and look him up. All right, so this is new season, new segment. September awards, right? So this is also going to be interesting because the season started in said month. The transfer window took place in said month. So there's a lot of moving parts to this one. Thankfully, or I guess we even had 2 different competitions, right? So busy times in September. Nick, we're going to do a 3-word month review. And again, Dan has hand selected some of his favorites. But I want you to go ahead. Or wait.
It's at the bottom of each one.
Oh, you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things going on?
He did a threaded
they're
thing.
just involved.
Yeah, it's like the third thing.
All right, Nick, so we're going to do a 3-word month review, all right? And Dan hand-selected some, but I'm going to let you have power of the filter here, power of the curation. And you can decide if you even like any of these and give a little shout-outs.
All right, so Kayer Shaw with Title Still Possible. My
Not
goodness.
wrong. Not wrong.
Goodness.
Everton's to lose.
Everton still lose. We have TJ Winners, who is apparently Aaron Rodgers, going, everyone just relax. Relax. Just relax. We have Football Bloody Hell from HN21NH. That's a very symmetrical thing you got going on there. Abramovich 2.0 begins. Ooh, okay. I like that one. Let's go down. Jekyll and Hyde from Mr. Thurman on Discord.
Classic.
Sad but true.
He's a pot stir. We know you, Thurman. We appreciate you.
And then to appease Dan Dormer, Bill of Rights with Preseason is over. It's over now. Thank
Door
God.
shut, Dan. We're done.
Oh, man. Thank God.
Done
It's
with
over
the
now.
preseason.
So, yep, those are some. I like those. There's some good. Abramovich 2.0 begins. That's my winner of the group.
It very well could be, right? It absolutely has the smell of back when you're signing 7-8 internationals. Very exciting players. Dan, in rebuttal, I'm going to let you give your 3-word match review. And if it has the word preseason in it, it was nice knowing you.
Preseason. No, that is not my 3-word match review, but it would have been a good one. I went with Frank's Funhouse. This is only getting started. I think there's a lot of excitement still in the air. And
This is like Pee-wee's Funhouse or whatever it is.
I want Bruce to giraffe. I need a graphic with Frank's Funhouse. I like clowns and also wall of mirrors, all sorts of shit.
Yeah, every time he says the word Liverpool, like things jump out and that was mine.
Oh, well, that was surprisingly short. Sorry, I had gotten comfortable and was ready for a bigger explanation. I put roller coaster continues, right? I mean, that is a thing with Chelsea under Frank. It's some ups and some downs. The highs are fun and the lows are obnoxious. I'm hoping in a month or two's time, I'll not be using that roller coaster analogy, Nick.
Is roller coaster one word?
I tried. Actually, I had roller coaster rides continue, but spell check corrected it and said, no, sir, that is 2 words. So I had to amend my 3-word.
My bad.
On to you.
Get your popcorn.
Thanks, Odell.
Time to go. T.O. actually.
Whatever.
So
Flashing
yeah,
receiver.
I think this has been a weird start to the year. I could understand why Chelsea are kind of in this kind of middle ground, no man's land right now. There's a lot of players who still need to go find playing time elsewhere. There's a lot of new blood in the squad. There's a manager trying to figure out what system is going to work. I think when you start to see this thing click, though, it's going to be fun. It may not always be as defensively solid as I would prefer personally, but I think it'll be fun. And we're certainly not a boring club. So get your popcorn ready because this thing is it's about to go.
I should have gone with thrilling since 1905.
Oh no!
Ooh,
no.
that would have been good.
I mean, completely not original.
No, it would have been thrilling since 2020. Would have been the way to update it.
Yeah, September,
that would have been funny.
September 2020. Definitely not original. Look, September was wild. I was going through the results too, right? So if you go all the way back to the beginning of the season, beat Brighton 3-1, feeling good about it. We just played them in a preseason match recently before that, so they were very familiar foes. Then you go and lose 2-0 to Liverpool with the Christensen red card. Smash Barnsley 6-0. Kai Havertz hat trick. The absolute hot upper and downer of the West Brom 3-3 draw. Not what we wanted at all. Then we lost 1-1 in pens to Spurs in the Carabao Cup. That was a gut punch. And then right before, and this is now, that ends the month really. So because then we played Palace at the beginning of October. But if you think about that, in that month you've got two wins, two losses and a draw. Overall, not a great month.
Mixed bag.
But that's also from the middle of September, right? In 2 weeks, we played 5 matches. So that also kind of sets the tempo for this season as well. And it's been an absolute kind of, wild ride, no matter how you kind of frame it. It's been challenging. Injuries, but, blooding in new players. It has not been easy.
That's the entire season right there. That's how it's going to go. You stay in the Champions League past the group stage. That's how the spring's going to go. Like, it is going to be as hectic of a season as we could possibly imagine. And I think the lesson here, Dan, is that Frank is going to have to rotate a lot, and he's going to have to trust that the players he rotates in are going to do the job just as well as those who he would maybe prefer in a starting lineup. So it is going to be a madhouse. And for the 1,000 players that we have in our roster, there's a chance that every one of them might play still.
I think that's the only silver lining of having these extra players here that we maybe would have hoped left, in whether it was a loan deal or whether it was a permanent sale, whether it was Rudiger or Tomori, whether it was, potentially letting someone like, Giroud was looking maybe at an opportunity to go elsewhere, like with the fact that we've got multiple strikers now. Like, what happens if someone contracts COVID? What happens if somebody gets an injury? What happens if both happens at the same time? This is one of the few times where having a very, very deep squad, maybe not, and there is drop off, right? There's going to be drop off from your top 4 defensive options to what your second 4 defensive options are, but at least you have it. At least you're not going to be promoting tons of youngsters into the first team with a trial by fire type of scenario. You at least can go to, you've played in the Premier League before, you know the team, you can bring them up if necessary. That is the only silver lining to maybe the inactivity over the past couple months with some of our outgoings.
Think about this too. Pulisic, Tammy, Mason, all the guys who went on holiday got it, right? It's reported today that Timo Werner is feeling flu-like symptoms and is getting tested for it. We don't know if he has COVID or not, or if it's just a bad bout of something. But it is almost certain that there are going to be more positive tests throughout the season. Not to scare anybody, but I mean, like, just the odds are out there. I mean, the thing is picking up worldwide right now. It's increasing everywhere. You're likely going to see restrictions again, stuff like that. So it's going to be crazy. And Cal's already had it at the very beginning too. You got to kind of remember that he was one of the first players to get it. So it's all in focus when you have a big squad. While the others are recovering and doing their 2 weeks off or whatever the quarantine period, you just got to rely on some of the other folks to pick it up.
Yeah, it turns out meaningless international friendlies is apparently a terrible thing, as we've discussed, because there are
always
so many cases picking up. Travel, exposure to new people, new parts of the country. It's not looking. I think it wasn't the French team who are starting to become decimated with cases right now. So we clearly got comfortable, jet setted everyone around, mixed squads, let them out of their bubbles, and it wasn't a good thing. But this is all just a really long preamble to our inaugural LIBP CFC Player of the Month award. Bet you didn't see that coming, did you, listeners?
Bam.
But we had to give a lot of context to kind of what September's been like, So I guess we can just kind of go through these, and I believe you all changed your votes from when I put mine in, and now I'm really confused.
I did change my vote.
He always makes this excuse. So I'm not having it anymore.
So here's the I'm
shutting it down.
I put mine in, and all of a sudden the other two changed to match mine. So if you guys just want to like start applauding me, giving me credit, I'll leave it up to you to do that.
I did change my vote only because the other two are already in there, and I could make a case for both of the players that I had selected. And our goal is to look. The players really listen to this show, and we really
at least two that we know of.
And look, I think the point here is that we're going to get this trophy made up and send it over to the recipient of our first LIBP, CFC Player of the Month award. We're going to get it printed. It's going to look awesome. This player is going to have it displayed proudly in his locker or on some sort of vestibule somewhere. It's gonna be great. We hope it's gonna be great.
Said player, I'm surprised. I thought I was like going against the grain, kind of getting an unsung hero. I went with Kurt Happy Zuma, and I have my reasons, and we can obviously go shout around. But spoiler, everyone else went with Zuma too. So I was kind of looking through the results, and he's been a staple in this side in the month of September. He's been there for our best results. Obviously, he's been there for some of our not as great, as good results, but he scored a goal. And to me, I think he's really established himself as the number one center back. And to me, that usually doesn't get the recognition it deserves because, like I said, it's an unsung thing. But if we're going to get this defense settled, if we're going to be able to build a relationship with Edouard Mendy and help him settle, it seems like Kurt is integral to all of that. It's who is going to partner with Kurt right now, and I just think that he started the season strong. He set a high bar, and he hasn't really kind of whiffed on anything. I think he's just been absolutely rock solid for us. So, Dan, what about you? Kurt Happy Zuma, why is he shining in your eyes?
I think all those reasons that you just went through are a perfect encapsulation. I think the only thing
I said them.
No, you're so good. I think the only thing I would add on top of that is getting a chance to see him come back into this side to settle as one of the two and to get back a little bit of that form when he was playing against, alongside Terry, and you're like, oh man, this is going to be the guy, right? This is the heir apparent. He's the one who's going to be the next generational center back we have for 10, 12 plus years, kind of rocking this position. He is looking as if he's ready to do that for us again. I mean, the match against Spurs, I would say one of our better players on the pitch there was dealing with a lot of defenders who were not, or attackers who were not making his life easy. I think, it shades into October, but he had a great match against Crystal Palace. Liverpool, no one, coated themselves in glory. Zuma was not one of them either. And then the match against Brighton, scores a goal, and had a really strong day out. The goal was, I think, really down to Kepa more than anyone else. So I think in general, if you kind of look at that, then involved in a lot of really strong performances, Nick, and I think has been, someone who's able to elevate his partner too.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had a very, very solid month, which is not something you can say for every other player that's on the roster. I started my thinking on this list with Kai Havertz, but Kai hasn't been great in the Premier League yet. Neither has Timo Werner. But the guy who was my second choice, who was originally my first choice, is Mason Mount, who I know will, that might get a lot of, kind of looks from people. But if you think about consistency throughout the performances in September, he was always there giving 1,000% effort, scoring a really important goal against West Brom to start the comeback. And I thought that, he was worthy of it. You could even make a case for Jorginho to have 3 goals in the month. And even though they're all penalties, I mean, I don't think he's played as poorly as some people would have anticipated, certainly not me. So I really kind of then looked at defense, right? And Reece has been off and on. Dave hasn't played as much. Left back's been odd, and certainly Alonso wouldn't be your choice for player of the month. And then the center backs have kind of all rotated, but Zuma has been the most consistent of those players. And I think that's probably where I'm at with that is Kurt obviously scored against Brighton. I know it shades into October, as Dan said, but looked really good against Palace. And I think he's just the 1A right now. And whoever is going to be 1B, you're going to have to fight amongst yourselves. But yeah, really, really pleased for Kurt. He looks like he's on a mission right now too, which is, man, it's a valuable weapon to have if you have a guy who's just trying to go show people that he can be a number one. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to go find someone, Brandon, obviously, that would potentially fill that 1A, but right now he looks really good.
Well, let us know who your player of the season was. Obviously, plenty of goals were scored, right? So there's a lot of people to choose from in that alley. There's a lot of people who've played a lot of minutes. I think Mason played almost every single minute in the month, so there's a shout for him. But decisions have been made. All right, to wrap it up, we do have goal of the month. Great way to end this segment, actually, in this episode on a big high, because no matter what you choose, we're right. Because every time you score, it is a great feeling. So, Nick, I'll go ahead and reverse it right back to you to let you kick this one off. Help us relive the goal of the month for you.
Goal of the month for me, Kai Havertz against Barnsley. Not the one that you picked, the one that I picked, which is the incredible first touch, Meg the keeper, walk the ball into the net. It showed creative flair. It showed composure. It showed what is going to come over the next handful of years, and I am quite excited about that.
All right. I mean, definitely was fun.
All right.
Definitely was fun.
That's all right.
I liked how that was the one you guys were like, oh, and that's when his soul left his body, making fun of the goalkeepers. You guys are obnoxious.
Can we talk about the fact that we saw one of your highlight reels, though, today from your goalkeeping days?
I've shared that multiple times.
You were on fire. Oh, my gosh. There was one stop. Man, kept the dreams of it.
We can share it on socials if you guys want. But yeah, it was literally the best week of my entire life. And I got player of the week. So yeah, it peaked. I'm only showing you the good stuff, none of the bad stuff. Dan, you have a different one.
Yeah, I almost went with Mason's goal against West Brom to start the comeback. I think great effort, place it in a spot, good swerve on the ball to throw the keeper off. But I had to go with the Reece James rocket. I had to go with him just almost burning a hole through the back of the net with that effort that he uncorked versus Brighton. It was a phenomenal first Premier League goal for him. Really well taken. Completely threw everybody off, and also gave Jorginho an assist, which, he was robbed of so many last season. I'm glad he got one in that match with Reece.
I think Reece did all the heavy lifting on that one, Dan, but sure.
Yeah, he did.
I had a different one. Nick kind of spoiled a little bit. It was the Kai Havertz goal against Barnsley. And it wasn't so much the goal, but it was the whole package. Mount looking to get an early ball in to Tammy. Tammy with a delightful dummy and just let it roll down to a wide open Havertz. Actually caught him off guard a little bit and almost had a bad touch. But he put it away. And so to open his book that way and to see Mason involved, Tammy involved in a very unselfish way, and Kaya in the end, to me, that was just, there's few things better than a well-timed and executed dummy. So to me, it wasn't just Kai, it was the whole move in itself that I'm going with. But again, plenty of options, right? Thankfully, we scored a good amount of goals. I'm trying to think of what the tweet or the stat I saw was, but anyways, essentially the number of goals we've scored 4, 10, 11, 12, 13 goals in 5 matches. We've only been shut up by Liverpool, and that was with a missed pen and a red card, so you can kind of have an idea. It seems like this team's gonna score goals this season. It's gonna come back to the defense and how we do. Oh, it's Daniel Catton. He put on LinkedIn actually that last season, if you take like the adjusted expected goals, we like created 17 more chances to score or should have scored than we did under the 2017 Premier League winning title under Antonio Conte. And we know how much fun that was. So if we can finish this season, if our defense can keep us in it, on paper, this should be a very, very exciting team. So September is a great marker. Step in that right direction, and we'll go out with just a recap out of the Carabao Cup. Unfortunately, obviously the FA Cup still yet to be played. We have Champions League still yet to be played, and we're sitting in 7th in the Premier League table on 7 points plus 4 goal difference. Right, only 2 points away from top 4. It's early days, but we're in and around the action. Unlike Manchester City, Manchester United. They're still struggling to kind of find their form, surprisingly. So it's good to be up and amongst the top of the table where we want to be. So that's going to wrap us up. Let us know what you thought of our first inaugural kind of month in review episode. We thought we'd drop it during the international break because you're probably bored like we are. So this is kind of our gift to you. We'll have another episode coming out Friday. That's going to be the mailbag we did with our Patreon subscribers through Discord. So a much wider example. So the content's coming, all right? And if you're bored, go to our YouTube channel. We're posting stuff every single day there. But that's going to wrap us up, Chelsea fans. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you. But until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.